Live talking in M5. Let's crank this thing back up here for the 3 o'clock hour and see what else we can do, what other trouble we can cause. Birmingham Broker bringing you the show tonight. That's Craig and Keith, and what a great operation. I'm telling you, man, when I first met them, I guess it was about 2013 or so, they came on the radio, and I had a truck for sale. I already had it marketed myself. I'd researched the value, and I thought, well, they're going to, well, I can sell this thing on my own. And Craig looked at it and said, no, we can get you a couple of grand more. And I thought he was just, I really did. I thought he was, I didn't know Craig. I didn't know how straightforward he is. And I thought, well, he's just kind of bluffing. Um, I thought, okay, you can try. Here are the keys. But if you can sell it for that, have fun. Boom, about just, I think it was 3, 4 days later, he was done. They sold that truck for exactly what he told me they could sell it for. And I felt like a fool. I was like, I would have lost 2 grand trying to sell it myself, and I wasn't a big dummy about it. The thing is, the real value of whatever you're driving right now, if you got to sell it, is not just on some blue book online. It's going to come when you find a willing buyer that wants your exact vehicle, and the matches is really there, and that's what they do so well at Birmingham Broker. They know what your car's worth. They know what your truck or SUV will sell for, and they're good at getting it out there and getting it sold. That's what they do. They broker the deal. And we're in an environment right now where there are a whole lot more buyers than sellers. I think the interest rate's coming down. Sometimes there's just a life cycle to vehicle trading. You have to trade. Your other one's getting older. Your life has changed. And you need a different type vehicle. So there's always some pressure in that market to generate people wanting to sell, or wanting to buy. But we need more cars. Craig has reached out several times saying, dude, we need cars on the lot. So I tell you what, get to him and get that car sold right now for maximum value. And my favorite part is they do all the work. It's done. When they get done with it, it's sold, and you're not fooling with it anymore. Beham Broker, Birmingham Broker, BehamBroker.com. They're downtown on 4th Avenue South, just around the corner from our buddies over at Iron City, where we'll be having the Jawbone Jam this year. Birmingham Broker, BehamBroker.com. Speaking of that, we're finally getting, man, we're within range now. We won't have heavy promotion, but the tickets are on sale for Jawbone Jam this year for new listeners to the station. That's what we call our annual birthday party. Over the years, it's turned into a music event. Richard and I used to have our own bands play, and we'd bring them and get a headliner, and we'd all have a big old time and make it kind of a big 3-band music fest. Weren't sure what we were going to do this year, but we knew we wanted to return to Iron City because it's just a great location. I think it's the best room in town. And through a lot of phone calls and quick work, I was able to get some of my buddies together. And the next thing you know, here's our lineup. This is unbelievable for us. It's also our 10th anniversary. So here's our lineup for Jawbone Jam this year. Brother Kane is going to headline. They're going to bring a band with them that's been touring with them around the country called Stone Horses. You'll love them. If you're a Brother Kane fan and you're from that era, you'll love Stone Horses. And then from that same time period that were so popular, my friends, my personal friends in the band Cattle, which also got together this year, they had already agreed. They said, if you're doing Jawbone this year, we're on board, which is great because they're getting ready to put an album out and they're back together and their fan base is all excited. Well, boom, they all agreed just to do the show together. So we got 3 bands, any of which would be a great headliner for our event. Now it means Dixon and I get bumped out, AJ. We will not be we will not be playing Rockstar amongst actual rock stars that night, but y'all will get to see a heck of a music show. Hang out with us and the whole team. Now let me give you some dates. It's May the 15th at Iron City, and the tickets went on sale just a couple of weeks ago, and they sold rapidly, but there's still some available. And I'm trying to let y'all know because we want as much of our crowd in the room as possible because those guys will bring their own crowds. So it'll be a sold out fun night and a great show. And we're so happy that, man, we made it 10 years. How about that? That's saying a lot nowadays with the way radio is, that we can keep this thing going like this. So y'all come and hang out with us in May, and we're all looking forward to it. Can't wait. It's the Jawbone Jam. By the way, those tickets are at Ticketmaster if you want to go that route. Or, to me, the easiest thing to do is just get online at ironcity.com and get your tickets reserved. And don't start whining to me about the prices because, AJ, have you looked? I don't even know what they cost.
I have not.
we are the working staff of the event. I don't even know what, but instead of us doing it as a charity event this year, we've decided to just turn that over to the bands and let them charge what they want and put on a rock show. So there we go with that. All right, man, 3 o'clock hour. Here we go. Let me make sure I got it all straight. There's some technical stuff that seems to be, I see a theme here, and I want to kind of get into some of that stuff this hour. First up, we had a story yesterday where Kristi Noem came out and said that there had been spyware put on her personal devices that she uses while at Homeland Security, and she believes it was done by staffers. Now, it's going to sound like a conspiracy theorist for a minute, but these things have a pattern to them. So we got that story hanging out there that people, deep staters, no doubt, careerists inside the agency, on somebody's request, planted spyware to track Kristi Noem's communications while she's running the department. Okay, so apparently they caught them, the actual staffers, and this is a story we're just finding out about it a little bit late. And then you had, we had some members of Congress that are now coming out asking, has this been done to us? So now you've got a situation where members in our government need to do a sweep of their devices to figure out how they're being tracked. We know that the FBI, just this week, we also find out that they were listening to the phone calls and tapping into Susie Wiles, who's the chief of staff, and I believe Kash Patel before he became a FBI director. He was being spied on. This is so insidious all the way across the board. And then we get this story just now that perhaps somebody hacked into the FBI's Epstein files back in 2023 on the night of the Super Bowl and deleted or stole or came across 100,000 terabytes of data. And now that data is missing. I'm still waiting to get some other third or fourth party to confirm this reported story. This apparently comes from a document that was still in the Epstein files where that incident was noted and was in that big dump that we got. All of this while Bill Clinton's up there, no doubt lying his ass off right now in front of the congressional committees. So what a crazy set of events. And it continues on. All this technology, all these insecurities with our government. And I said it yesterday, I sort of went off on a rant. And then they were going to harass the former president of the United States, get warrants, kick his door in, and go in and get cocktail napkins and their son's prescription receipts and go through Melania's underwear looking for what exactly now? Because we were told it was damn near nuclear secrets, and it turned out it wasn't any of that. Most of us suspect it was that Trump had kept copies of the Crossfire Hurricane investigative documents where they attempted to frame him the first time. And he had it to be able to preserve that before somebody inside the government did destroy it, and they wanted it back. And they went under this pretense that they had the authority to invade the home of a former president over a dispute over the National Archives. By the way, and I documented this over and over and over after that happened, we've had disputes with former presidents. Almost every former president has had some sort of disagreement with the archives over what they kept and what they didn't keep. Obama had one. Clinton had one. Clinton had kept some audio recordings during his time in office that he wanted to personally keep, literally had them in a sock drawer in his personal possession. That case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they ruled they were his to keep if he wanted to keep them. He was the president. He had the singular authority to decide they were declassified enough and to keep them. The archives had no claim. Same thing with Barack Obama. Barack Obama had millions of his own personal files. And this was, of course, back in the days of hard copy material when you ever seen people leave a job or get fired, you pack everything in a banker's box and walk out the door. It's kind of an iconic image. Well, if you're president, it's millions of documents and lots of banker's boxes. And so they took all of Obama's documents to a big old school warehouse in Chicago because that's where he was planning to build his presidential library, and that's where a lot of these things are stored post-presidency. But it was an insecure building. Anybody could have just walked in there. It was an old abandoned building in a bad part of Chicago. So the archives came along, and they wanted to take possession of all of these documents to secure them. But Obama agreed, no, I tell you what, look, I'll put security on the building and we'll work on that. So they partnered up, worked it out, and the documents presumably were secured. Even in the Trump situation, Trump was in communication with attorneys, his attorneys and the archive attorneys saying, look, we know the documents you're talking about. Here's the room. It's got a lock on it. We put a camera on the room. They're secure. They're in freaking Mar-a-Lago. So it's not even a wide open warehouse in the middle of Chicago like Obama had or Clinton's sock drawer. They're under the guard of the Secret Service. But they still turned that into a search warrant. Now, I'm tying all this in because when the government wants to, suddenly they prioritize missing documents the classification of it. Then, of course, we had the saga of Joe Biden leaving stuff in his freaking garage next to his Corvette while his cocaine-head son walked around selling secrets for money, classified stuff that went all the way back to him being a United States senator where he had no authority, not unlike a former president. A former senator has no authority to ever have possession of these, much less take them away from their official capacity. But there they were in Joe Biden's garage. Remember what they said about him? They ought to prosecute him. I think it was the Hur report. They came out and said, well, yeah, just like Hillary, they said, well, he probably broke the law, but he's too senile for us to prosecute. Do you remember that? The Democrats took offense at that, but that was his excuse for getting out of it. It's kind of like Hillary Clinton, where they say, oh, no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case against this pantsuit wearing hag. They didn't say it that way. They get away with it when they want them to get away with it, don't they? Crazy stuff. All right, so I know that was a stream of consciousness, but you've got all these stories about data and breaches and missing information and government officials being spied on. And we thought the Trump wiretaps were sort of the pinnacle of it. It may just be the state of business in our federal government right now. But the more we find out about it, the better. And I'm glad these stories are being exposed. All right, let me lighten up for a minute and get back to Richard Dixon. He's hanging out at I'm jealous as hell, Richard. I just want to go ahead and tell you, the RV thing is kind of my thing. I love browsing. Even when you have one of these, you're constantly looking at the rest of them. And I love all of them. I love the little ones. I love the big ones. I love how people set them up. And I'd love to be walking around down there. I'm glad you're down there, though.
They have got them all, both large and small, pull-behinds, fifth wheels, RVs, the kind that are like rock star buses, country star buses, you name it. One of the things that I've noticed nowadays is that, when I was a kid and we were doing all the RVing, it was pretty rare that these things had an air conditioner on them. And, when you did run across one, you go, oh, some pretty serious money that they spent on that. Every one of these has got an air conditioner. Some of them have two because they're so big. You actually have to have two units. Oh, there's a siren. Somebody bought an RV. Okay. They usually have a bell, but they decided to set off a siren this year instead of smoke bombs.
Okay, that scares
Every
the hell out of
time they sell
everybody.
one
Good
of these
job.
things, yes, exactly.
It's either a tornado or a sail. It's one or the other.
Yeah. Exactly. Just jump out of your skin. It's fine. I'm back here with the Brinkleys. Oh, these things are huge. They got these giant pullouts. They tend to run in the $100,000 range. And man, they're worth every penny and then some. This one is $160,000. It's $53,000 off right now, and it is nice. I mean, it's got everything you want and nothing you don't. Well, no, it probably has some stuff you don't want too. I mean, it's got everything. It's truly amazing. 2 doors. It's got a front door and a back door and a back deck on it. It's difficult to believe that these things are as exquisite as they are nowadays. They've really developed a whole new way of creating these things. And I think it's because customer demand. They're like, well, step it up a notch, take it one notch higher. Let's see what you guys can do. Yeah. You can get on-the-spot financing. You can get loan approval right here. And if you come here with a price in mind, a budget in mind, chances are good you're going to drive away with something bigger and better than what you thought you were going to get for that amount of money. So I suggest you come by today, tomorrow, Sunday, any one of these 3 days that this thing is going on. Inexpensive to get in. Great people that are working in every one of these areas, and a huge array of RVs that you will not believe. It's all happening here at the Birmingham RV Show at the BJCC.
All right. Y'all go down and see Richard and see that show this weekend down at the BJCC. It's always a big old time. Back here in just a minute. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. All right, y'all, 324, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Lonnie's Furniture Company next up here on the show. I do appreciate John and Reggie. AJ, by the way, when I went to see Dr. Brian today, he still wants to get this little man camp together so we can go make knives with John and Dr. Brian and everybody. We're going to do it. I told him we're committed. I just can't, I got to figure out a date for us, though. We're going to make some knives and swords and stuff. I described a knife I made years ago. He called it a shank. He said, that's not a knife. That's a shank. He made fun of my knife. But, yeah, look, John and at Lonnie's Furniture, John Lonnie's and Dr. Brian have been friends for years. John's become a friend of mine. Reggie's become a friend of mine now, too. And I'm just telling you, in addition to them being clients and having an outstanding furniture store, you're just dealing with genuinely good people that want you to be happy. They that name, Lonnie's Furniture, is 92 years old. I mean, you don't hang around and survive all the ups and downs in an economy and in a culture by not doing some fundamentals that are timeless. And that's just always having good selection, beautiful stuff that are the up-to-date styles that people want in their homes, price it fairly, give people a lot of choice, and custom delivery. Those elements have always been around, and it's why people keep coming back. And Lonnie's is still there, and they've turned that brand into a superstore. They've got a store in Kimberly, Alabama, in the middle of nowhere. I'm not insulting my friends in Kimberly because I grew up in a town about that size. But it's out there in North Jefferson County, and you wouldn't expect a big old giant store like this, but there they sit with all the deals and selection you could imagine. So go see them this weekend if you're thinking about odds and ends. They got accessories and lamps everywhere. That's the first thing I noticed when I walk in, just in those groupings. They're just a sea of lamps at each grouping and everything beautifully staged. And sit on it, open the doors, close the drawers, decide what feels good to you, lay on the mattresses. Their mattress section is bigger than a lot of mattress stores. They got a lot of stuff. Brands you're going to love and know. Great people, too. That may be the best part of the way they take care of you. It's Lonnie's Furniture Company, L-A-U-N-I-U-S, Lonnie'sFurnitureCompany.com. Well, I just went on this technology rant, and then this came across that to me is kind of in the same theme. But apparently the president has gotten extremely pissed off with a company named Anthropic, and they put this statement out this afternoon that the entire federal government has now been ordered to delete and or move away from the use of technology from a company called Anthropic. Let me just read you the statement because I don't know what to make of it. I don't even know what Anthropic does. Some of you may know this, but he says, Trump said in this post, and also Hegseth is out backing this up today, the United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. The decision belongs to your commander-in-chief and the tremendous leaders I appoint to our military. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic, man, I'm going to miss Trump when we go back to bureaucrat speak and soft language. He's telling us what these people are about. The left-wing nut jobs at Anthropic had made a disastrous mistake by trying to strong-arm the Department of War and force him to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. Their selflessness has put American lives at risk. Our troops are in danger, and our national security is in jeopardy. Therefore, I am directing every federal agency in the United States government to immediately cease use of all Anthropic's technology. We don't need it. We don't want it. We will not do business with them again. There will be a 6-month phase-out period for agencies like the Department of War who are using Anthropic's products at various levels. Anthropic better get their act together and be helpful during this phase-out period. I will use the full power of the presidency to make them comply with major civil and criminal consequences to follow. This may be one of the strongest statements I've ever seen him put out about something. There's one more paragraph. It says, we will decide the fate of our country, not some out-of-control, radical left AI company run by people who have no idea what the real world is about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America Great Again, President Donald J. Trump. Now I got to know, what is this about? What happened? Who are these people? What is their technology? He called them an AI company. But I'll have to do some homework because I am not quite nerdy enough to know everything about what that issue is about. In all likelihood, they felt like they had some kind of monopoly on the technology, and I'm sure they were having some of these social justice requirements that some of these corporations were shoving on this whole country, the DEI stuff, the ESG stuff, all these things where if you're going to do business with us, you have to accept our standards. We don't have to do that. None of us have to do that. And by the way, you should all be reading the fine print on anything that you sign up for nowadays, because they had infected this whole country almost by force, even through corporate America, with a lot of the stupidity. I'll get more information on that as we roll along. We've still got 2.5 hours to go. Bottom of the hour, Lead on Live, Talk 995. Y'all hang in there. We'll come back and do some of your phone calls too. 545-9950. Lead on Live. All right, 3:35, Leland Live. Man, we're just moving on through a Friday. Sun's out, looking nice. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. I'd plan some things if I were you. One of the things that happened yesterday with the weather, though, really caught some people off guard, and that hailstorm came through. And some of you may have roof damage, you may not, but it can be really, really destructive. And my man Greg Nelson, he called in right after this thing happened and gave us some just sort of free roofing advice. And he was very supportive of his fellow local roofers when it comes to getting these projects done. And one of the warnings he gave yesterday, again, we were still dealing with the development of the storm. It was moving off. It had come down. By the way, it was not a tornado as much as people thought it might have been. The Weather Service says it was just straight line winds. All of the damage was blown toward a southeast direction, which was the direction that the storm cell was going in. But it did some damage around Trussville and Moody, and I think even Coleman might have had some hail damage as well yesterday, but that thing that popped up. But Greg called in and said, be real careful with these trolls that'll show up in your neighborhood trolling for business right now and purport to be, reputable. And they're trying to hustle work. And I do admire that, but you got to be careful who you're dealing with, that they know what they're doing. They're not going to run off with your money. You got some of these fly by night folks that'll take half up front and say they'll bill you when you get your claim covered, and they take off with your money and you don't get your project done. Just make sure you check out who you're dealing with. Now, y'all know I think the world of Greg, and I would deal with storm restoration. He is out there. He got in his truck this morning, was out helping his customers and some of our listeners today alone, just with a quick inspection. Some of you won't have any damage, but it doesn't hurt to look, because you got a time period to get these things claimed. It's longer than you think. So as Greg told us yesterday, there's no mega rush to go ahead and get a claim in. It's not like you got a few hours. There's a long time period. And for the most part, hail damage can not leave your roof leaking, but do enough damage where you're going to need some stuff repaired, and if not, a whole new roof. So let him help you figure that out at Storm Restoration. He's an honest guy. That's how his business has survived. Now going on 30 years. I lose track of the actual year, but I know he's 26 years plus in the business with his whole family involved. And he's the guy I trust to send over to your house to give you an assessment. And he'll get up there and check it out and let you know what's what, tell you the straight scoop, and move on to the next client if you don't need anything. Here's the number. And by the way, if you're just jotting down numbers while you're riding down the road, and who is it? Make sure you stick this number aside somewhere if you can, because we're just on the first stages of the spring storm season, and you never know when you're going to need Greg or his services at Storm Restoration. So put this number aside. You're not going to be able to track me down. Sometimes I'm off the social media on the weekends. I don't care. And you're not going to be able to find me. 205-542-3531. I say that, but if y'all want to reach out any other time and get any of our sponsors' information, I'm happy to help with that when I see it. Sometimes I just don't see it. 205-542-3531, 205-542-3531. Well, I didn't expect this issue to come up today. I thought it would be more about Bubba Clinton testifying before those members of Congress, and we're still waiting for some more statements or whatever else came of that today. I think it's still going on. Let's see. And then Trump's about to speak out in Texas, but man, he just lit up the tech community with the statement I just read to you about removing a company called Anthropic from our entire federal government systems, calling them left-wing nut jobs, and that they were trying to strong arm the Department of War. Now, my understanding from a lot of you that are keeping up with things and smarter than me about this area of tech is this is an AI type company, and somehow our government was using some of their, I'm going to call it software, or some of their systems. And so they got into this standoff. Trump has thrown them off the federal government systems. He's given other agencies 6 months for a drawdown. Some will be more immediate. Others, like the Department of Defense, or as we now call it, the Department of War. That department probably still needs this technology. But Trump, I'm telling you, he's known for being direct and almost vicious at times. But in a statement like this that was put out directed at one company in a standoff with the government, this was really, really strongly worded. Now, apparently the company has put out a response or a statement about it. I don't know. I guess this guy runs it, some guy named Dario Amodi. They've all got these foreign sounding names, don't they? Here's what they're saying. And I'll just read some of this to you to see where I'm not trying to nerd y'all out, but I feel like I just crashed about halfway into a Star Wars movie and I don't know the plot. But it says, I believe deeply. This is the guy at Anthropic saying, I believe deeply in the existential importance of using AI to defend the United States and other democracies and to defeat our autocratic adversaries. Now, let me just stop there. I don't know this guy. I don't know what he's about. I'm really ignorant right now. But all I know is anytime somebody overuses the word existential, they tend to be left wingers. They love that word. They love that word. Do y'all ever pick up on buzzwords like that? As the minute somebody says it, my red flag goes out. Not that it's not a legitimate word, but it's widely overused with Democrats when they want to create anxiety and get a response or sense of urgency, particularly from their little thought bubbles. Another word they love to use is autocratic. He puts them in the same first sentence. So I'm already wary of this statement. Anthropic is therefore worked productively to deploy our models to the Department of War and the intelligence community. We are the first frontier AI company to deploy our models in the U.S. government's classified networks, the first to deploy them at the national laboratories, the first to provide custom models for our national security customers. Claude is extensively deployed across the Department of War and with other national security agencies for mission-critical applications such as intelligence analysis, model and simulation, and operational planning, blah, 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 blah. Boy, this is so corporate-y. This is so corporate-y. Anyway, I don't know what the disagreement was, though. They go through, this is a long statement about all what they offer. The last sentence in it is, okay, let me just read you toward the end before we get, I don't need to describe the whole company based on their own view of themselves. But what we have here is the Department of War has stated they will only contract with AI companies who accede to any lawful use and remove safeguards in these cases mentioned above. They have threatened to remove us from their systems if we maintain these safeguards. They have also threatened to designate us a supply chain risk, label reserved for U.S. Adversaries and never before applied to an American company. Regardless, these threats do not change our position. We cannot in good conscience accede to their request. I got to know in plain English what this is about. Aren't y'all curious too? What is it that this company did that made the Trump administration decide they were left wing? And what are these requirements that they're trying to shove into our government that they consider essential for security? I'm suspicious of these people, but I'll keep reading here. It is the department's prerogative to select contractors most aligned with their vision, but given the substantial value that Anthropic's technology provides to our armed forces, we hope they reconsider. Our strong preference is to continue to serve the department and our warfighters with our 2 requested safeguards in place. Should the department choose to offboard Anthropic, we will work to enable a smooth transition to another provider, avoiding any disruptions to ongoing military planning operations and other critical missions. Our models will be available on the expansive terms that we have proposed so far as long as required. We remain ready to continue our work to support the national security interests of the United States. I'm going to need my Geek Squad to call in and explain this to me. Maybe y'all know more about the politics of this issue. Tech is not my expertise. Politics might be, but something's gone really, really sideways. And if you can imagine, we're sitting at a time of war where we've got this massive buildup outside Ukraine. We just had the Maduro operation. Cuba, who knows what happens there next. We're having to monitor things all around the world, most likely using these products and services. And for the Trump administration to pull the plug, despite their reputation and image and the stereotype of Trump is a knee-jerk or reflexive, they're very, very strategic. They are very strategic. They know what they're about in that administration. They have a world view that they've expressed clearly to the planet. Rubio did the best job I've ever seen talking to the World Security Conference about how we see Western democracies and our place in it, in our hemisphere. It is back to almost Reagan-era understanding of the world. I see it clearly. I think if there's something this critical, if something crazy must have happened, or the Trump administration just came to completely distrust these people. I'm fascinated by this story. I won't dwell on it the rest of the show, but I'm utterly fascinated with whatever this is supposed to be, and we'll continue to follow it this afternoon. I'm sure there'll be some reaction from some of the folks that know what's going on. All right, let's go to line 3 and JJ in Birmingham. JJ, you'll be our first one up this afternoon. What's up? What do you know?
Leland, I'm the last person in the world you want to talk to about technology, but I was awake in the middle of the night and saw this on one of the, I think it's called the National News Desk. It's a good news outlet that's on TV now, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy, it showed some of the statements he made, and he's trying to tell what the military can and cannot do with that technology that they were supposedly going to, work with on the Trump administration about. And so they had at least 2 or 3 things they were trying to tell them they definitely were not going to do. And so I was half asleep, so I don't remember most of them. I thought it'll get all worked out. But that's basically what it boils down to. The guy's saying, we don't want you to do this with it or that with it or this with it.
Oh,
that
I
with
see.
It. Otherwise, y'all can use it.
Like, yeah, this is our technology, and we're happy to make billions from the government, but you're not going to be able to use it to effectively fight wars we disagree with or commit operations that we don't like.
To that effect.
Yeah,
yes.
That's just like a liberal. That's just like a left winger to think they're so arrogant in their position is superior, morally superior to everybody else, that they can impose it on everybody else. And I'm glad Trump told them to stick it. And I hope they have a backup plan. And there's no shortage of technology companies in the world. I guarantee you Trump and them have an alternative plan. I hope they do anyway.
Yep. Thanks, Leland.
Thanks, JJ. Well, sometimes we just have to boil it down into its simplistic form. But yeah, I could see an arrogant CEO. I mean, it's mainly because I work in our industry where at some points you get these giant corporations that have lost sight of what they actually do, and they believe they become so monopolistic. And that's why monopolies are always dangerous. If Anthropic is a monopoly in this area, well, then that's another problem. There should be more competition, at least a bidding process, and the government cannot be strong-armed by a company that is holding us by our kiwis over technology. Now, again, most of you and a lot of you may have a deeper understanding of this, but based on the quick releases of statements back and forth, this is a pretty dramatic situation. It's, again, especially considering our disposition right now, deploying troops around the world and what could be about to happen and not about to happen. To have this going on in the middle of that is crazy. All right, Richard is back with us. He's checking in about every half hour down at the RV show, one of my favorite big trade shows that happen at the BJCC. There's kind of a trade season. We got a boat show and a home show. The RV show is something else, and Richard is down there this afternoon. Richard, what you got, man?
I have officially seen it all. Remember James Gregory used to talk about how, they ought to come out with a double-decker mobile home for people who have money.
Yes.
They have a 2-story pull-behind travel trailer here. 2 stories. That goes
vertical.
Inside.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. You go in, and there's a stairway right there that leads to the upstairs, and it's in the front half, and it's not like the master bedroom like you think it's going to be. It's actually a little area where there's a table and there's kids' beds up there. And then in the back, there's a double-decker deck. So like there's a spiral staircase that'll take you up to the upstairs deck. I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, we've officially reached the peak now of travel trailers. I don't know how else you're going to make this. $99,000, by the way. I thought it would be a whole lot more than that. It's got 6 wheels on it. You'll pay a fortune for tires. But other than that, great prices, great financing on everything down here. You're going to find something in your price range. You're going to find something that's going to make your family happy. If you're traveling just with your sweetie, you're going to find something that's absolutely perfect for you and she or he. And if you're traveling with a family of 5 or 8 or whatever, then you're going to find something that's perfect for that too. And it's every kind of price you can possibly imagine. They got one down here that's $500,000. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy that. It's twice as much as my house. But there are people who are very, very seriously looking at it right now. And the siren keeps going off. So people are driving away with these things, man. Don't miss out the RV show. It's only here for 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Sunday at the BJCC. Come on down, get some of that instant financing, on the spot loan approval, and talk to the fine folks at any one of these fine mobile home dealers, RV dealers. You know what I'm talking about. At the Birmingham RV Show. We'll see you down here, man.
There's Richard Dixon. Y'all go see him this weekend. He will be there this afternoon, but you guys are welcome to go the rest of the weekend. Alabama Bass also bringing you the show tonight. Man, if you got one of those tough situations where you're a little scared when you get in there, for a while when I lived alone, I would think about that. If I were to slip and fall in here, who would know? And some of y'all are like that. You've aged. You're living alone. Mobility ain't what it used to be. You don't want to fall. Let's get that replaced. Whether you want to get a tub for tub, and they'll come and just replace your tub because you still want to get in there that way. They've got the ones with the door where you can walk in easier and fill it up. Then, of course, the better replacement for mobility is to get rid of the tub altogether and just get a nice stand-up shower. They've even got them with fold-down seats. You can still sit and relax in there, but the shelving and the handles and the slip-proof surfaces, and these things are gorgeous. You can go look at the build-out that they've got in Pelham at the Alabama Bass showroom, and they'll show you all about what it's going to look like. You'll get excited. My favorite part is it's a 2-day deal. They come and they replace, and they're done in 2 days, and they're out of your hair, and you've got a new bathroom. It is alabamabass.com. Y'all reach out to them, let them give you a free estimate. No pressure. Man, this is a family business. They're not going to treat you that way. They're just going to do good work and put in a better product and do it in 2 days. alabamabass.com. Back here in just a minute. It's 3:55, Leland Live, talking to M5. Y'all get on back in here. Work Trucks bringing you the show tonight. TRUX, WorkTrucksLLC.com. These are my folks that can get you outfitted with a commercial-based business truck to get it done. If you've got a business or organization that needs a truck like this, I call them stripped down, but they just don't have all the frilly stuff on them that come with modern pickups and big trucks. These are just work trucks. They get things hauled around efficiently. And the Bubba and his team have just gone out to the pre-market and the lease market and found the best of these with the lowest miles. Then they go through them and make sure everything's correct. And then they put them on the lot. So you know you're getting a quality truck. And they keep a nice balance of configurations with box trucks and flatbeds and pickups of all kind of outfittings, or not just shop trucks or cargo vans, passenger vans, all of it. Financing, warranties, everything you would expect. Turnkey dealership for managing your fleet. You haven't got time to be figuring this stuff out. If you're running a business, you got to run your business. You got to do what you do. Let them help you with your truck needs and do it right and save some money at Work Trucks. TRUX, put that X in there, WorkTrucksLLC.com. All right, let's hit some more calls on this AI flap that has popped up this afternoon. A lot of it's new to me, and we got a lot of expertise. I'm getting a lot of good advice from people reaching out to the show. Flag is up now on line 2. What's up, Flag?
Hey, so the thing that's going on right now with Anthropic is an ethical-based argument, and they're really kind of concentrated into two different agencies. I mean, they work for all three branches of the federal government, but they're utilized heavily into two different agencies, Lawrence Livermore Labs and GSA. GSA handles most of the administrative stuff. So surveillance stuff and things like that, data that's collected. But Lawrence Livermore does a lot of laser and nuclear research. In fact, that's basically what they mainly do. And the argument is that, all right, all AI systems, no matter whether it's something as simple as Copilot or Chat GPT, all AI systems have guardrails built into them. And what this means is that if you're using it and you try to do something that is unethical or illegal or runs the risk of victimizing children or things, those guardrails prevent things like that from happening. Celebrity likenesses, things like that. It's real simple. But when you get into the types of AI that are used by, let's say, the Department of Defense, you're getting into a whole different world. And those guardrails run much deeper. Mm-hmm. And the CEO is saying, I don't want my software, my proprietary software, used for mass surveillance of American citizens against their knowledge. I don't want that to happen. And I also, while we're at it, don't want my AI, my software, used for offensive or defensive weaponized systems that can target individuals completely autonomously without a human being saying, okay, I want to engage this target, or no, we're not going to engage that target. They're just saying, think about the dogs, all right, like the robotic dogs that you've seen in the past that patrol parks and stuff.
Flag, you are a wealth of information, and you're making more sense than anything I've read on this, but we got to get this top of the hour. I want you to hang on and keep going. If you've got a minute, let us do this top of the hour break, because that's making sense to me. I understand it a little better. Hang on.